Hey, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Sunday night. It is the Earthmaster out here, about 11:02 p.m. California time. Getting a late night update in here on this Sunday, December 29, 2024. The latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe shows a little point 2 there across California. We'll get to earthquake activity here in just a minute. We want to cover the space weather activity. Man, we are rocking and rolling on the sun here with a number of large flares here in the last 24 hours. You can see right now on the UV filter image here of the sun, discrete sunspots showing some flaring right now. And man, right now it looks like a M1.2 coming in following another X flare from, let's see, which sunspot was that? Looks like this region up here on the northwestern quadrant of the sun. So there's a number of very active regions there on the sun that's been throwing off a bunch of M flares, and we are still looking at a major threat here of seeing some further X flare activity with a 30% chance here from a number of the sunspots there that are currently facing the Earth. M flare at 80%, C flare around 99% chance there, and aurora event possible here on Monday evening. By the way, that X flare a little bit stronger than the previous one that we've seen here in the last 24 hours. This one up around an X 1.5 or so. With the location of that X flare, more than likely, I don't think that will be geo-effective from this area. If it did produce a CME, we'll have to wait for the latest imagery from the Space Weather Prediction Center folks there. If things change, then we could see some Earth-directed plasma. But right now we have a potential solar storm here for Monday night. That's tomorrow night. I know it's technically it's Monday in certain areas out here, but here in California we're still Sunday night. KP index up around the 6 to 7 range. The solar ham site showing 6 to 7. That would make it up around a G3 class storm. Now, the view line here for the auroras tomorrow night could venture down at least into this area right here where that red line is. And that's it covers a portion of Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska area, Great Lakes, and up through the northeast. Now, of course, overhead got a better potential of seeing the auroras tomorrow night, Monday night. Don't think we're going to see them down in Northern California unless something changes with the bulk of the plasma. If it's much denser than forecast, and then we could see maybe a little bit better viewing. But right now, I don't think that's going to happen. But hey, if you're above this line here, you got a decent shot of seeing the auroras for Monday night. So watch for that. Overall flare threat, as I noted, there a good, decent chance for seeing some X flare activity. The auroras right now fairly minimal. There's our past 48 hours of M2 plus, and there's been a number of them. We're not done yet, folks. Things are popping like crazy out here. It's sizzling from a number of these sunspots. So be on guard for some further X flare activity. Earthquake activity here. Start off on the West Coast. Got a number of earthquakes out here. More recently, a 3.3 out here around the, it shows Bidwell, Fort Bidwell, California, but this is actually over here in Nevada near the Sheldon contiguous area. This used to be called the Sheldon National Antelope Refuge. I was out here a few years back investigating an earthquake swarm, and there's a lot of old volcanic activity out there, a lot of obsidian all over the place. I was literally driving on a dirt road that had sharp obsidian everywhere. I'm surprised I didn't get a flat tire, but yeah, 3.3 coming in this evening into that area. No swarming right now, but getting a little bit of earthquake activity ramping up there in Nevada. A lot of it's been here across western Nevada recently, as noted there on the map. So we'll continue to keep an eye on. There's definitely some strain out here against the Cascadia and the North American and the Pacific plate boundary. Here's some activity stirring up throughout the last 24 hours there across Northern California, centered roughly down here across the southern end, extreme southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Now, this is a Mendocino the Mendocino Fault Zone here, northern edge of the San Andreas Fault. Cascadia Subduction Zone does venture down south here, so continue to keep an eye on that. There was a 4-pointer out there earlier this morning. Note up north here, one earthquake on the Cascadia, a 2.7 this afternoon. Now that's 18 miles deep here, not associated with the surface fracture that you see there on the map. So that's associated with the subduction zone. And the tremor activity tonight, I was checking it out. There's nothing going on, at least nothing being reported. Now there has been times in the past here where we've had elevated tremor and they had some issues with their computer systems out here. I don't know if that's the case or not. But yeah, it's been a few days here of literally no tremor. I find that hard to believe. Look at that. In the last week, only 49 epicenters of tremor here. So things are super duper quiet. Further down south here, a little bit of movement across the Bay Area. Nothing big going on there for now. Southern California, roughly about the same as this morning. I don't think we had anything further coming in there across Southern California. 2.7 near the Borrego Springs area early this morning. Across the rest of the country here is noted minimal activity across the oil fields there. There's that odd earthquake out in Ohio. I guess this is the only earthquake ever being reported out here in this region, this specific area out here in history. So a little odd. Now there is, there's some hazard zones down south here. There's been some larger earthquake activity, and of course the New Madrid seismic zone. It does sit out here, in some variation of some fault systems. I don't think there is actually any faults out there. Let me take a look here at the satellite imagery, see what we have. A lot of flat land out there, that's for sure. It's out there underneath the field at about 6 miles deep. Hard to say. I don't know if there's any pumping operations out there or not. Not too familiar with this area. It could actually have maybe something to do with, water usage there underneath the area. I mean, 6 miles, that's pretty deep underneath the area. So a little odd one. Kind of puzzled a little bit on that earthquake, but we'll keep an eye on the area. The rest of the model here, one earthquake up into the Alaska area in the last hour. Aside from that, getting some swarming out here across the Taiwan region. Still watching this area right here, the Kumano Ridge, for some megaquake potential. Latest quake, though, shows a 5.5 here into the Philippines. Shaking things up out there this evening. So obviously a little bit of adjustment going on here across this area following a bunch of activity here recently across the western areas of the Pacific Plate and south here. So all that movement pretty much putting a strain out here on this area. It's lacking some movement or lacking earthquake activity here. And that's where we're expecting that larger megaquake movement. And I say that because the Japanese government there in the last few months put out a megaquake warning for this ridge. It's a subduction zone that's capable of producing large earthquakes in excess of 8.0, and it's coming up on the regular interval of time frame in terms of another earthquake. So time has passed, strain has built up, earthquake cycles occur, and that's why they put out that megaquake warning. Right now, no megaquake. Hard to say if we're going to finish off 2024 without an 8-pointer, but that's coming up. Should be coming up any day, and I say that because our last one was back in 2021, and we should have seen one by now. All right, the Rift Valley over here, goodness, these guys are just rocking and rolling with earthquakes still. Latest one, a 4.4 earlier, 5.1, one of the larger quakes in the sequence of events here. Got about 18 earthquakes here in the last week, and it's just out there in the Great Rift Valley region. It's an area that, well, that's not the map I wanted, but this is kind of what it would look like if you look at the Rift Valley. This is the African Rift Valley, but this is somewhat similar as new lands being formed and whatnot. But, yeah, something's brewing out there. Could enhance some volcanic activity here soon. Have to keep an eye on that. fairly active across this area of the globe, as noted. A lot of earthquakes happening out there right now. Nothing big for now. 5.1 across the Vanuatu area. Got a decent amount of swarming stirring up there in Chile right now. You guys see that? 3.7, 2.5, some larger earthquake activity in there as well, following that 5.5 earthquake earlier this evening. That is on the Peru-Chile Trench. The responsible party for producing the world's largest earthquake, a 9.5, back in 1961. So that's a little bit further north than that 9-pointer. That was a little bit further south down here. But anywhere along the Peru-Chile Trench, if there's enough strain built up here, we can see a mega quake. Right now there's a pair of 5s roughly at that area where we'd expect the strain to build up. And I would say there's a decent amount of swarming happening specifically in that area. So we'll watch that. That could stir up some larger activity here soon. Let me see if I got a Chile station up here. I don't. Let me add that up here real quick. This station down here I like to keep keyed up. Right about here. Let's see if this is working. Which it is. So there's some of that earthquake activity coming into the seismos. I'll adjust that. We don't need that many there on the graphs, but yeah, I got to watch that. Maybe that's where our next 8-pointer is going to hit. Pretty decent swarm up here too across the Middle America Trench. So we got 2 major subduction zones here showing that elevated activity. Quite a bit happening up there. Whole bunch of 4s there along the Middle America Trench. USGS showing some of those, 2 of them, near the Santiago area into the Middle America Trench. 6.2 miles deep as well. That's rather odd. But we'll continue to watch it, folks. Elevated activity out here for sure. Let's see what else we got. 3.1 New Zealand right now, it looks like. Well, we'll kind of keep an eye on things here. It's just, there's a number of active swarming areas all over the place. All right, we'll take a look here at the Hawaii Kilauea volcano area real quick. See if we're still in eruption stage here. Excuse me. Oh yeah, I would say we are still rocking and rolling out there from that one little area up against the crater wall there, spewing out quite a bit of lava, filling up that lava lake area of Kilauea volcano. Quite active. Latest update there was put out this morning, and they just noted that there's been no unusual activity, just kind of a free flow there of the magma up to the surface to create that current ongoing eruption. Storm Prediction Center, no major severe weather threats for now. Things are starting to change here, and as we enter into the new year, we are going to notice that pattern change here with high pressure ridging out across it. Well, that is new out here. I'll take that. That wasn't out there in this morning's update. So, yeah, I'll take some more rain before it dries up. Looks like around the 2nd or 3rd of January, California getting in on a little bit of precipitation. And then things start to change there. Look at that cold air dipping down into the Gulf of Mexico. That's some crazy Arctic air coming down here with some snow on the map. So maybe Oklahoma, Texas, northern Texas. You guys looking for some snow? Well, it looks like it may be coming here. A couple massive areas just dropping down a lot of cold air from the north. That's quite unusual to see the weather patterns here coming straight from the north. Normally it's from west to east, but that is a lot of cold air coming down there. Look at that mess. Look at that mess around the 15th of January. Ice down south of, almost looks like Houston. Does Houston, well, I think Houston gets some snow on occasion. But, yeah, pretty interesting. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off here. Continued earthquake activity there in Chile. I'll adjust this accordingly. But we'll stay safe, and we'll catch you guys back out here in the morning for the Monday morning update. Have a good evening.